we're going to be reading Unit 2 in our Social Studies book, Land and Water. Two things. First, please make sure you've already watched the landforms video that was assigned to you in Edpuzzle. It's just a short video to introduce to you what we're talking about in our lesson. We're going to be talking about landforms, and so I want you to watch that video first. Second, I want you to have your social studies book out with you so that way you could be following along with me as we read, and your brain can be learning in two different ways. You're going to be listening and seeing at the same time. So you're going to be following with your fingers on the words with me as we read. Okay, today's vocabulary that we're going to be practicing this week in our unit is landform. A landform is a natural shape of the land. Okay, you have mountains and hills and peninsulas or islands, so it's just the natural shape of that land. Now that you can have different kinds of landforms. You have valleys, islands, peninsulas, that we're going to be studying these different kinds of landforms. We will study other kinds of landforms that aren't listed here. A lake is not a landform. A lake is a type of water. So we will also be looking at water features and different types of water that you have as well. All right, land and water. Let's get your fingers on, ready to follow. Build on what you know. Think about your community. Is it flat? Is it hilly? Is there a body of water nearby? So I want you to think about where we live. We've been talking about our city and our state. What do we have around us in Corona or Norco or Riverside? We're all pretty much the same area. What do you see around us? Okay, around us we see mountains in the background. We have hills, we have mountains. We also have near us lakes. We have Lake Elsinore or Big Bear Lake that you can go visit on day trips. So those are some features that we have where we live. Okay, landforms. Fingers on, ready to follow. The land on the earth is shaped in many different ways. Each different shape, such as a hill or mountain, is a landform. The pictures on pages 74 to 77 show some different landforms. So we're going to be looking at all the different ones. First we have mountains, and we see these around us where we live. Lots of mountains in our background. We know the tops of the mountains can get lots of snow, and the lower part doesn't usually get as much snow as the top does. Okay, next page. A valley. A valley is low land between mountains or hills. Often, a valley has been carved out by a river running through it. More people choose to farm in valleys than on the steep sides of mountains. So here we have the picture of the valley. We can see there's a mountain on the left, a mountain on the right. The valley is the lowland that's in between the two mountains. Usually that lowland was created by water running through it. There was probably a river here at one point. It's not there anymore, but it was probably created by a river going through here, or maybe a glacier going through here. Okay? We learned that most people choose to farm in the valleys here. So let's answer this question. Why do you think people are more likely to farm in valleys than in mountains? Okay, well, looking at this land here in a valley is definitely more flat. So it's going to be much easier to farm in this flat land than on the steep slope of a hill, or a mountain. So I think farmers mainly choose to farm in the valley because it's easier to farm. Also, we see water that runs down the mountain and it runs here into the valley. So water does get there to the land too that the crops need. But the main reason is it's flatter, so it's easier to farm on the flat land. Okay, moving on. Okay, islands and peninsulas are a little alike. An island is land with water all around it. And I want to point out, look at the word island. It has a silent S in there. We do not say island, we say island. The S is silent, okay? All right, so here's an island, and it has water all the way around it. Okay, that's what makes an island. Water all the way. It is not connected at all to any other parts of land. It has water all the way around. A peninsula is land that has water on 3 sides. So here's a picture of a peninsula, and we see there's water on 1 side, 2 sides, 3 sides. This last side, the 4th side, does not have water on it. It is still connected to that land. So this is a peninsula. One of the sides is still connected to the land. Most of the state of Florida is a peninsula. The Delmarva Peninsula has all of Delaware and parts of Maryland and Virginia. So this map is a little too small to look at, so I printed out a bigger map to show you. Here's a map of the United States. This is Florida down here, and we can see why it's a peninsula. There's water on 1, 2, 3 sides, and the last side, the 4th side, is still connected to the land, so that's a peninsula. Now, it was also talking about the Delmarva Peninsula, which is right here. It's this little piece right here that's sticking out. The entire state of Delaware is on that peninsula. Okay, there's Delaware right there. And parts of Maine, Maryland and Virginia. So this part down here at the bottom belongs to Virginia, and this part up here belongs to Maryland. Okay, the United States have other areas that are peninsulas besides Florida, besides this Delmarva Peninsula. If we look up here, Michigan has 2 peninsulas. This is the Lower Peninsula, and we see water all the way around it here. And this is their Upper Peninsula. This is also part of Michigan that is up here. So both of these are peninsulas, and they are both the state of Michigan. Okay, and if you're going around, you can see other peninsulas. This tip of Texas here would be considered a peninsula. This tip over here would be considered a peninsula. This little tip right here is considered a peninsula. So lots of peninsulas in the United States. Oh, here was the zoomed in picture of this Delmarva Peninsula. If we zoomed in, you could see it bigger. Okay, this is the state of Delaware. And then here is Maryland. That belongs to Maryland here. And where is the other part that belonged to Pennsylvania? I don't see it. Virginia. Sorry, this is Virginia. That belongs over here to Virginia. Okay, so now you know. One other fun fact about peninsulas. Peninsula is actually from 2 Latin words. This is how they came up with the word. There's a language called Latin. It's a very old language. And the 2 words put together from the Latin means almost island. So we can see that peninsula is almost an island, but not quite. So that's how they came up with the word peninsula. All right, next page. This is a picture of a plane. Here we have a plain that's in Nebraska. And if we look on our map, the red dot right here is where Nebraska is. This is where that plain is. In the middle of our country here is mainly plains. There are not a lot of mountains in this area. It's mainly plain and flat land like this. A plain is mostly flat land. Most of the middle of the United States is covered by plains. Other plains are found on the land along the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. And let's review what is one landform in California. Okay, next question. In what places in the United States would you find plains? And lastly, what do you see in the photograph? What is growing on the plain in Nebraska? Okay, next page. Now we're going to talk about water. Water, we have different types as well. Water comes in many shapes and forms too. You have read that most of the earth is covered with ocean water. Ocean water is salty. Most bodies of water found on land have fresh water. Fresh water means there's no salt in it. So the ocean is the salt water. The water that's on land is fresh water with no salt. So one kind of water on land would be a lake. Okay, do you see this is the land, this is water on the land, and it is a lake. This is a lake in Massachusetts. A lake is a body of water with land all around it. Most lakes have fresh water. Lakes come in many sizes. Some are small mountain lakes. Others, like Lake Superior, are huge. Find Lake Superior and other 4 Great Lakes on a map in the United States. So let me bring my map back out here. Oh, this map isn't good enough to show you, but this right here is the big Great Lakes here in Lake Superior. There are lots of lakes right here, and see how big they are on this map? Almost the size of a state. It is huge. Okay. And over here too, you can see it. Up here, this blue section here are all those Great Lakes, the 7 Great Lakes of the United States. Okay. So, were there any questions here? Oh, here are my questions I have to ask you. Is there more salt water or fresh water on the earth? Okay, so since most of the earth is covered with ocean water, and ocean water is salt water, most of the water on earth is salt water because there's more ocean water than there is fresh water. In what way is a lake different from a river? Oh, don't answer that yet. I'm going to come back to that because we haven't talked about rivers yet. So let's talk about rivers. Here we have the Mississippi River. A river is a long, moving body of fresh water. Rivers flow downhill into oceans, lakes, or other rivers. Find the Mississippi River and the Missouri River on the map on page 83. So I'm not going to be able to turn to that right now, but it looks like right here they have one of these rivers in red going down. It flows down. A river is flowing water. And it flows downhill into oceans, lakes, or other rivers. Okay, now we can answer this question. What is the difference between an ocean and most lakes? Okay. I think that is all of the questions that I have for you today. Okay. Okay, I'll do one last question. What are some kinds of land and water on Earth? That's it for today. Thank you.